Yo, what's going on YouTube? This is your boy D1 bringing you yet another YouTube video at this time. So, what I'm going to be doing at this time is bring you guys my virtual world deck profile. Now, before I even get into the profile, of course, we had the recent ban list and VFD was banned for it. My thoughts, I'm happy that VFD was banned, of course. I've never been a fan of degenerate cards that stop people from playing. So now virtual world players will actually have to think with their brain, while they're playing this deck, which is an absolute good thing. So there's no more VFD turbo and spamming and stopping people from playing and stuff. You actually have to use the combos the way the deck was intended to be used. Alright, so with that quick thing, let's go ahead and get into the deck profile. So of course, as always, we're going to start off with the monsters. Alright, first we have Virtual World Lulu. Lulu is a tuner deck. Oh well, let's talk about this again, even though I talked about this in my last video. They all have the ability that they can special summon themselves by targeting a card type on a field and sending one of a different card type from the deck to the graveyard in order to special summon themselves. So I won't be going over that. I'll just be speaking on their unique effects. So this one in particular searches a virtual world card that's different from the card you targeted and the one you sent to the graveyard from your deck to your hand. I'm going to keep it short and simple there. Very essential for the deck, of course. Next we have 3 Nian Nian. Well, this doesn't have the special summon ability as the others. This one, while in the graveyard, when a level 3 monster is summoned to the field, you can special summon this from the graveyard, and it becomes a tuner when it's special summoned from the graveyard. So, pretty decent combo off with your Lulu on the field, or your GG when it's in the graveyard and stuff like that. So this card's really good for your graveyard setup plays. And also, when it's banished, you can target one of your other banished virtual world cards and shuffle it into the deck. Alright, next we have Psychic Tracker and Psychic Wielder. These are also your level 3 options. They can pretty much special summon themselves on a level 3 or a monster. Level 3 monsters on the field, they can special summon themselves. And when each of these are used as synchro material, they have different effects. This one destroys a monster that's on the field that's weaker than the synchro monster you use as synchro material. And this one gives your synchro monster 600 attack. So these are both, good extenders for your synchro plays. Next we have 3 GGs. Now this one, this unique effect is when it's special summoned during the end phase, you can add a virtual world monster from your graveyard to your hand. So, this is of course good extenders for your plays. Now we're going to the level 6 options. 2 virtual world Lulu. This one, when special summon, can actually dump another card type different from what you targeted and what you sent to the graveyard. So you could essentially dump all 3 card types. Dump 2 card types with this effect. So basically, if you target a monster, dump a spell, you can dump a trap, and shuffle the order based on what you targeted with this initial effect to special summon itself. So yeah. Sets up the graveyard effects of these spell and trap cards as well. The 2 Lao Lao. Now this one, when special summoned, this special summons a virtual world monster from your graveyard. So this can pretty much special summon your entire archetype of monsters from the graveyard. And your level 6 to make rank 6 plays, your level 3s for level 9 synchro plays, or you can special summon your level 6 for a level 12 synchro play, which I'll tell you guys when we get to the extra deck. So yeah, this card's really good. What's the name of this one? Yeah. This is Virtual World 2-2. Now, this one can be normal summoned when you control either no monsters or all monsters on your field or worm or psychic type. And while this card is in the graveyard, you can discard a Virtual World monster to special summon it from the graveyard, and it is treated as a tuner when it does so. So, yeah, this card's really good to set up plays, and it can put himself on the board as a level 6 monster. Last staple, of course, 3 effect failures or whatever hand trap you want to use for your Virtual World deck. Excuse me. Alright, that is it for the monsters. We're going to go into the spells. Alright. 3 Virtual World columns. This one sets a Virtual World spell trap directly from your deck to your side of the field, and it has various effects based on what the number of Virtual World spell traps you have on a field at the time of activating this effect. If you have 2 or more, your Virtual World monsters gain 200 attack. 3 or more, you can send 3 cards from the top of your deck to the graveyard. 4 or more, you can switch summon up to 4 monsters from your extra deck. So if you're lucky enough to pull off the 4 effect, you know, you're in a pretty good spot there. So yeah, mostly the 2 and the 3 effect will be used most of the time. Alright, first Virtual World spell, Virtual World Quinlong. This one, while on the field, banishes a Virtual World monster to target a monster your opponent controls and negate its effects until the end phase. And while it's in the graveyard, you can banish this card from the graveyard to add 1 Virtual World monster from your deck to your hand, and then send 1 card from your hand to the graveyard. So this is a good setup card for, you know, setup for your plays and stuff. And then we have some staples, of course, Pot of Avarice to, you know, shuffle your Virtual World monsters into the deck to draw 2 cards. 1 E-Telly to special summon your level 3 psychics from the deck. And 1 Call by the Grave, of course, to stop your hand traps, or allow your monsters' effects to be played by playing over your opponent's hand traps. Alright, so that is it for the spells. Lastly, we're going to go into the traps. Alright, first we have 3 Virtual World Chuchi. So Chuchi, while on the field, can shuffle 2 Virtual World cards back into the deck to target a card on the field and destroy it. And while in the graveyard, you can banish this card from the graveyard to target 1 Virtual World monster on your field, reduce its rank or level by increase its rank or level by 3. So yeah, it's good for, you know, the modulation level is really good to set up for higher level synchro plays or higher level rank plays, of course. So yeah. Got 2 Virtual World Xianwu. This one, while on the field, if you control another gate, you can I guess you can target one monster on the field and change its battle position. Its graveyard effect allows you to special summon 1 Virtual World monster from your graveyard and then send 1 card from your hand to the graveyard. Of course, his on-field effect is not very potent, or, you know, not very practical to really use. Its graveyard effect to extend your plays is the best way to use this card. So yeah. And then we have our staples, permanents, and triple Solemn Strike. Of course, since I'm making this is sort of a competitive build, of course, so you gotta have your traps to be able to, you know, function when you're playing the game. Alright, so that is it for the main deck. We're gonna go into the extra deck. Alright, first for your level 6 centrals, we're gonna have Juju, Virtual World Juju. Now, this card, when on the field, is protected by battle or card effects when you have a monster of the same type and attribute in your graveyard. And also, you can banish two monsters with the same type and attribute in your graveyard to send one monster from your descendant to the graveyard, period. So, it gets over destruction and stuff like that. Any floating effects that happen on destruction do not happen because it's being sent to the graveyard. So, yeah, really solid card. Next, we have Hyper Psychic Riser. Now, this card has very distinct effects. Monsters that have higher attack than this card cannot activate their effects, and monsters with lower attack than this card cannot attack. Honestly, I believe the effect should have been switched, but that's pretty much how they make it. So basically, if you make this with Psychic Wielder and Tracker, it becomes a 2600 attack, and it can pop a card with monsters that are less than 2600 attack. So. And also, when it's sent to the graveyard, you can add two monsters with the same type and attribute, but different names from your graveyard to your hand. So it adds your Psychic Wielder and Tracker, your Lulu, and your Nianians. Like any combinations of two monsters with the same type and attribute can be added back to your hand with this effect. What's this card's name? Alright. Now this is a Virtual World Xian. Now this is your level 9 boss monster. So basically it is a walking macrocosmos, rather not macrocosmos, dimensional fissure. When monsters are sent from the field to the graveyard, they are banished instead. If this card is sent to the graveyard, you can banish two monsters with different attributes and different names from your graveyard to special summon this card. And also, when a Virtual World monster attacks, activate this effect, you can put a banished Virtual World monster back from the banish zone back to the graveyard. So this card is really good. Going first, of course, having this card on the field and your opponent making their plays with the monsters on the field, they're losing resources as they're, using their monsters for various summoning methods. So, yeah, this card's really solid. One treasure course. This card can be made with Lulu, Nianan, and Gigi. You have those three on the field, of course. You can special summon Trish and do Trish stuff. You guys already know. Krishna Synchro. This one can be special summoned using the same three monsters, just that Nian has to be a tuner because this card requires two tuners and a non-tuner monster. So, Nian special summoned from the graveyard to become a tuner. When you have Lulu and Gigi on the field, can summon this and banish three of your opponent's monsters from the field and or the graveyard. And now for your level 12 option, this is summonable off of Lao Lao and another level 6 option. So this one basically, while in the extra monster zone, is unaffected by everything. And the Mathmech version of the part doesn't matter because you're not playing this in Mathmech, obviously. But, when it's destroyed or sent to the graveyard, you can add one Mathmech card from your deck to your hand. So yeah, so this card is definitely solid to, bolster your field presence when you're going off with your combos. Alright, so that is it for your Synchro options. We're going to the Exeast. So we have a Long here, rank 3. While this card has material, it cannot be targeted by card effects, and you can detach two materials to negate a monster effect that's an attribute not on the field, and your opponent has to control a face-up monster. So the restrictions are a little wonky, but the targeting effect is probably the best part of the card's effect. Now we have what the hell's the name of this card? Gossip Shadow, basically. So this is a rank 3 that basically helps you while you're comboing off, because you know this deck can do up to 4, 5, maybe 6 summons throughout the turn, and this should be one of your summons to stop your Nibiru options, as it changed the Nibiru's effect to each one of us draws 1 card. Alright, so next we have, for rank 6 options, we have Fen Fen. So this one detaches 2 materials to target 1 monster on the field and 1 in the graveyard, and you banish both those targets. And when this card is destroyed by battle or card effect, you can special 2 virtual monsters with the same type and attribute, but different names from your deck. So this one is good removal, and it also generates you advantage when it's destroyed. So this is definitely a solid option. Alright, in the generic rank 6s, Utopia Beyond and Ptolemy M7. M7, of course, gets you your resource from the graveyard to the hand, or from your opponent's graveyard to the hand to disrupt their graveyard setup, or to send one of their extra deck monsters back from the field to the extra deck, so they have to use their resources to resummon it again. And Utopia Beyond reduces your opponent's monsters' attacks to 0. And it's a 3000 beater, so you can just attack over whatever it is that it reduced to 0. Alright, so that's the rank 6 options. Lastly, level 9 options. No, it's not VFD. So this is Phantom Fortress, your rank 9 option. Of course, you can make this out with this deck, of course. So this one detaches a material to activate one of a few effects. You can banish 1 card from the hand, field, graveyard, or deck. And these are non-targeting banishes, of course, so it does get over non-targetable monsters, which is really solid. Alright, so that is it for the deck profile. Alright, so I hope you guys enjoyed the deck profile. Let me know what you guys think of Virtual World. Of course, no VFD, so we have to play the game. Play the deck actually pretty solid. Alright, so that is it. Let me know what you guys think, of course, and I'll be getting back to you guys. So I'll be bringing you guys more videos in the meantime. But until then, peace, YouTube.